the Synthstrom Deluge. Now, is there anything this box can't do? Surely, a box that can do everything you need to create electronic music has got to be must-have gear. Is it worth the price tag though? Let's dig into it after the open. The Synthstrom Deluge can literally do it all, but I think my favorite feature or functionality that it has got to be the sequencer. All those little buttons makes it so easy to program MIDI tracks and especially drum patterns. Here, you can hear it sequencing the entire track, but also providing the vocal sample tops and sequencing up. In this other track, I use it to program custom drum sound. In this track, it created the foundational synth lullaby, so to speak, with its own synth engine, which is surprisingly better than you would expect. And finally, here you can hear it manipulating some ASMR samples I found online into something completely new and unrecognizable. The company has also expanded this product in some really important ways. It's added a MIDI foot controller, so you can control a lot of the really important functions like looping and recording via a foot pedal. Probably most importantly though, it's addressed one of the most glaring weaknesses of the original version, that really weak old-fashioned screen. The Deluge is packed with so much functionality but not enough interface. And eventually, as you use the box, that little screen couldn't give you enough information to tell you about the content that you've created. It got so bad that they tried to turn all those buttons into its own interface. I didn't think that that worked very well. So the LED screen is a really, really important upgrade if you're gonna be using it heavily. And most importantly, let's not forget about the updates. So many updates. Synthstrom have definitely proven their commitment to this product with a ton of software updates and added features over the years. I bought mine in 2016 as part of the original batches, and after version 2, 3, and I think they're into 4 now, they've added arranger mode, a looper, wavetable synths, so many new features in fact that they had to offer an overlay to capture all the new functionality that wasn't there with the original box. As they say, with great power comes great responsibility. The responsibility to develop a powerful workflow and intuitive interface. And I think this is the Deluge's kryptonite. One of the Deluge's greatest superpowers is how it makes so many things seem ridiculously easy and intuitive. But as it expanded beyond its original vision, the limited interface just couldn't really support the new features and functionality that they kept adding onto it. And by version 3, I felt like I had to learn a whole new machine. And as I kept creating more content, more patches, more tracks, more samples, the limited interfacing, right? Limited USB functionality, limited mix down and exporting capabilities, no connection at all to any kind of dolls or computers, made it harder and harder to keep track of my content. It kind of reminded me of when I had the iPod. When I first got it, it seemed awesome to have your entire music library in one little handheld device. And then as you started getting into the gigabytes and gigabytes of songs, maintaining and organizing that library was so much work that it just seemed easier for me to go back to vinyl record. Beyond that, other kind of weaknesses of the box include the onboard effects, which is not my favorite, even as far as onboard effects go, much less compared to high-end, FX pedals and effects boxes. Part of that ties into the limited inputs and outputs, because with only 2 outputs, a stereo output, it's really hard for you to send certain sounds out. You have to send your entire master bus out for FX processing. And then I wouldn't consider this a weakness necessarily, because it is an all-in-one box, and the nature of all-in-one boxes is that it's not going to really have that much mojo or character. You know, some of these like the Moog Matriarch or maybe the OB6, right? They just have this pure sound that just hits you somewhere deep inside. The Synthstrom Deluge won't be able to deliver that, but I don't really consider that a strike. I don't think the Electron boxes can deliver that either. I think it's just a nature of being an all-around machine. So, is it worth it? At that price point, for all the things that it can do, it's definitely worth it. I didn't keep mine due to workflow reasons, which is, you know, very personal to each one of us. But I mean, I had to replace it with basically 1.5 Electron boxes. So just from that perspective, it's definitely worth it. The Octatrack had more inputs and outputs, which was really important for me in the studio. And then the analog fork covers the gaps. But if the Deluge's workflow speaks to you, then it's hard to think of another piece of kit that delivers as much value as this box.